Past President of the Indian Medical Association, Dr. Rajeev Jayadevan, is also now joining us in the broadcast. Good morning, Dr. Jayadevan. Your reaction to the Prime Minister in a surprise move this morning, going to Delhi's AIIMS and taking the shot against COVID-19. It's Covaxin is what we are being told.
Good morning, Sneha, and this is a great start for the vaccination drive for the vulnerable. Remember that we are facing a pandemic and we don't have an end in sight. Multiple waves are expected all around the world. And what we want as healthcare providers, I speak for healthcare providers, is to stop people from dying. And the quickest way to bring down mortality or death rate is to vaccinate the people who are more likely to die. And that is the people who are older and the people who have severe disease. And today is a great start for that campaign. I know that healthcare providers and other frontline people have been vaccinated. I've been a recipient myself of vaccine. So this is a great start. And let me take you through a couple of basics. See, the problem I see around the world is overthinking. See, if you go to a store to buy mangoes, and if you start going and researching about mangoes and you start reading the encyclopedia about mangoes and ask 10 people's opinion, you might never buy a mango. And that is called information overload and overthinking. I see that as a problem around the world. People come up with all kinds of strange decisions after reading too many articles. Let me take you through the basics. What is a vaccine? A vaccine is nothing but a method to introduce the virus into our immune system without harming ourselves, all right? We need an idea of this virus. Why did this virus create so much of a problem? Because humanity had never seen it before. All that vaccines are doing is to just introduce this virus, an idea of this virus, provide an idea, hey, this is what this virus looks like. And all the mainstream vaccines around the world pretty much do the same thing, except the way they are constructed is different. Now, this particular vaccine that you mentioned, called Covaxin, is made in the traditional format, which means that this format has been used for decades.
Yes.
We know that it is safe, but the question was, what kind of immune reaction it's going to produce. And we have a publication from the Lancet itself that says this vaccine produces the right kind of immune response. That is your antibodies and your T cells. As a vaccine recipient, these are the two things I want. I want to make sure that my body produces antibodies and my body produces T cells. That is pretty much it. But when you overthink it, when you start reading between the lines and when you start imagining things, then you come up with wrong decisions.
Yes.
This is a great move.
Dr. Jayadevan, the medical community was extremely upset with the manner in which opposition leaders had been saying that this is a vaccine which is a BJP vaccine, essentially. Some had gone to the extent of saying that. And I remember even at that point in time, all of you were very upset because this is the scientific community which has developed this vaccine in a record time for the people of the country. It's an indigenous vaccine. And I think the message of the Prime Minister was today that I'm above the age of 60, I've taken it. There have been concerns about who can take it, people on blood thinners and all of that. And I think that is something that he's clarified today with that one decision, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. People live in the age of social media, and without background knowledge, it's very easy, Sneha, to be confused and be misled by people who are prejudiced. Prejudiced people are everywhere, not just in India, all around the world. And misinformation is all around, but misinformation can come in many guises. In fact, as I mentioned, overload of information and overthinking can misinform people and can lead people, apparently smart people, into making silly decisions. Which is why I said we must always look at the big picture. Inactivated vaccines have been made ever since vaccines were invented. And there are 4 inactivated vaccines for COVID-19 in the whole world. Nobody has a phase 3 trial published, but at least 43 million doses of one particular vaccine has already been administered. That's the Sinopharm's vaccines. And we have a press release from the Sinopharm people that says between 72 and 79% efficacy. But you know what? These numbers really don't count. What really matters is the long run. And what counts in the long run, in many immunologists' opinion all around the world, including Professor Shane Crotty, is whether you make good T cells, whether you make good T helper 1 type immunity, and also whether you make memory cells. These are the things that matter, and you can't measure them with numbers or percentages, which is the problem with WhatsApp University. People read limited knowledge and
Okay.
limited information and come with wrong conclusions.
Dr. Jayadevan, quickly, if you could just throw a little more light on this. The developers of the vaccine, Bharat Biotech, have already said that this is a vaccine which is producing neutralizing antibodies, which means that it is going to be giving you protection against COVID-19. It's just efficacy data which is awaited, isn't it?
Absolutely. See, I'll simplify immunology for you. Your immunity is in 3 stages, all right? It's got what's called multi-pronged. You got your neutralizing antibodies, you need your CD4 T cells, and you need your CD8 T cells. This is basically very, very simplistic terms what we want a vaccine to produce. Now, if a vaccine can produce these, there's a good chance that you're protected. Now, long-term protection will only be known with the long term. What we see in terms of numbers are simply the numbers of self-reported symptomatic infection that are reported by the volunteers. And that takes time because to report these over tens of thousands of people, it takes several months to accurately report this. But what we do have is credible information, which is really what I want. If I were to choose a vaccine, I would want my T cells to be made in the right format. I would want antibodies. And both these are made by all the vaccines available. Both the vaccines available in India are very good. And in fact, they are also good for the variant. You know, the UK, the variant that came from Britain, you can't call it the UK variant because it's politically incorrect. It's B117. Both these Indian vaccines are shown to be effective. There is published evidence that both these vaccines are helpful with variants. So this is what it is. But some people want an excessive load of proof, which I don't blame them because that's how they are taught in science. But you know what? Sometimes you make decisions in trust. And if this is the amount of trust that is about to be generated, I have the amount of trust that's generated by the amount of data. I have evidence that both the vaccines produce adequate immunity. Let the data come.
Okay, all right. And that's the reason why the government has not once but on several occasions said that both of these vaccines are safe and there is no choice when it comes to these vaccines. If you're taking it, if you're going to a vaccination site, you have to take whatever that particular site is offering. Dr. Jayadevan, thank you so much for joining us this morning with your perspective on that important story. Remember, at 9 a.m. is when the vaccination drive essentially is going to start in the country. Registrations will also open up through the day and walk-in registrations or walk-in vaccinations, I beg your pardon, will be allowed in the country from today onwards. We'll continue to keep a very close eye on that story. For the moment, it's time for a quick break here.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.